What's up, everybody? It's DisThunder, and we're going to take a quick look today at the Mezco 112 Collective Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Deluxe Animated Series Edition, or as I will refer to them as the Toon Turtles or the Classic Turtles, because that's all it fits on my title cards. And these bad boys showed up like a multicolored burst of lightning last month, pretty much out of nowhere. And you may recall a certain toy reviewer making a comment along the lines of, well, if they make more with this mold, I'll buy whatever they want to put out. I'll take variants, whatever they want to do. And that's obviously absolutely true, because I got them right here in front of us. But I wasn't expecting it to be quite so quickly, is the thing. So it's awesome to feel like I've been listened to. That's really cool. I feel it's very validating. But if that is the case, my dudes, if we can wait a few months before you hit me with like the 90 movie-inspired variants or the classic toy variants or something, much appreciated. I got to stagger this out. This is going to be an expensive summer. I'm going to stick to that loose definition of calling this more of an overview than a review, because essentially these are the exact same turtles that we received in April, with new head sculpts and some changes in color, obviously. As I'm talking here, you see Donnie on the 360, just to give you an idea of what you're looking at. It's the same body, as I can demonstrate here, as the original release, just with a new color palette and new head sculpt. And I'll talk about Donnie's a little bit later, because he's the only one that kind of misses the mark for me. But otherwise, I'll be honest with you, the head sculpts turned out to be a lot more fun than we were kind of led to believe from the promo images. So that means the texture of the bodies is the same as the previous release. The only thing that's changed is there's no longer a wash on them, and they all have the same kind of light green skin tone, which is very aesthetically pleasing for whatever reason. And obviously new belts that are, I thought they were just straight repaints of the original belts, but I think they do have some changes, like the pouches are a little bit different here and there, and of course the individual belt buckles. And I'm kind of a sucker for those, and it's tempting to almost mix and match parts between the two sets. But I just can't bring myself to do it. And again, the black leather looks really good with the lighter colors, and with the also likewise individually paint-matched elbow pads and knee pads. It's a good look. It's no surprise that this is the look that Fred Wolf went with. Oh, dear God, that was like 26 years ago now? But these are obviously a little bit more, I would say, Toon-inspired than Toon-accurate. The head sculpts are doing the heavy lifting there, and as you might be able to tell, they actually carried some of the texture through on those heads just a little bit. It just sort of tapers off in the face area. Gives it almost like a Jim Henson Muppets kind of feel, which actually, now that I say that out loud, that's kind of appropriate, isn't it? That also carries over to accessories. In fact, I'm going to kind of sidestep the accessories except for the new heads, because essentially everything you're getting here is the same stuff that came in the original TMNT box set from April. In fact, there's actually about 4 less accessories, but that's something that I'll talk about in the end, final thoughts kind of stuff. You know, we're going to be very free-flowing on this particular overview/review, because stuff like this is kind of fun just to talk and ramble for a few minutes and just give you my thoughts. Like the fact that when it comes to your current options for animated style turtles, I realize the one that we're talking about here came with a $400 price point, and the one that's on the turntable next to him is about $20. Man, there is just no comparison. So let's talk about those head sculpts a little bit. We'll start with Leonardo, because he has, well, they all have 3 head sculpts. That's kind of a stupid thing to say. But I think Leo's are probably the best, like, cross-reference of what you're getting into with these different heads. The first one is obviously kind of stern with a little bit of a furrowed brow, which is a great touch. The second one is a little bit more of an angry or a talking head. I mean, it all kind of depends on the way you angle his neck. And like I said, there is definitely a kind of Kermit the Frog vibe you get looking at these head sculpts, and that's not a bad thing, considering the 1990s Turtles and the Jim Henson lineage that goes with them. And then the last one is your kind of dopey, classic Toon Turtle head. I tried to change angles a little bit so you could see some of the gloss on the eye paint. Doesn't always show up, but it is there. And it is kind of, it's a subtle, but it's a good effect. It brings some life to him because those big doe eyes can be a little unsettling. I think Michelangelo got the best of the new head sculpts, though, him or Raphael. This side-eyed one that he's got, where that's kind of what you talking about, Willis kind of look, I think is my favorite of Michelangelo's head sculpts. But maybe that's because it also has a bit of a furrow brow. I think that's the thing for me. The brow line helps me not quite feel so toonish all the way through. But when it's done right, like his sort of nervous face here, I think it actually pulls off the look really well. So I think, we're dancing around it, but what I'm really saying here is I think Donatello is the one that needed one more head option to settle me, because even his smiley toon face on Michelangelo actually looks pretty good, I think. Again, it's probably like my least favorite of the three for Michelangelo, but it's still a pretty solid head sculpt, and actually I think the smile comes across pretty well without being too uncanny valley and uncomfortable. Yeah, let's go ahead and just discuss it then. So coming to Donnie here, you've got three, and of the three, I think this is the one that I like the best. But as you can see, he doesn't have any of those kind of, I don't want to necessarily call him a scowl, but yeah, kind of a scowling brow face. And I think that kind of helps level off the big dinner plate eyes that these guys have. Like the second one here, it's a fun head sculpt. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's just something that I don't see a lot of use for me in my collection, or even in my, if we want to call it what I do, toy photography. I don't see it as being one that I'm going to use a lot. So don't get me wrong. It's very well realized. And, of course, then you have his classic smiley toon face. And it is also very well realized. It's just, I wish he'd had another option with a little bit more serious tone to it. Because the other three do, and I feel like that kind of, I don't know, maybe it's just personal preference in the end, but these big wide-eyed looks on the toon heads, I would have preferred something more like this as a third option. This is an extra Raphael one that I painted, hence the red around the eyes and stuff, but you get the idea. It just kind of balances out the look a little more, so it's kind of a little more in between the toon and the 88 toy line, I guess. So that's a long way around saying basically I actually really like the toon heads. I think they come across nicely. I just wish there had been a few more options that were more like Raphael's here. This one being kind of the default head that I've used. Pretty self-explanatory, right? It does carry out the toon look, but as appropriate with Raphael, it feels a little more stern. You might recognize that being the same head I used to repaint for Donatello, so obviously that's a good one to go with. This one is, this is a wise-ass expression, and it actually comes across pretty well. It does look kind of goofy at certain angles because it'll hide that top row of teeth, but that's kind of to be expected when you're translating something that's very, very 2D into something that's very 3D. But I think of Raphael's heads, this one is the one I like the most. This is very 1988 squishy head turtle expression, and I kind of wish all four turtles had something similar to this with some gritted teeth like this head, because this came across really well, and they just did a great job on it. For the sake of consistency, and in case anybody doesn't want to go back and watch the other review to get the particulars, I'm just going to do a quick run through of the articulation on Raphael while I have him here. You will find double-jointed elbows, ball-jointed shoulders. There's kind of a thoracic joint in there, like a ribcage joint, and then the double-jointed neck. There is the standard Mezco-style ball sockets for the wrists, and same thing for the ankles, actually, too. I think they are like a barbell joint. Double-jointed knees, ball-jointed hips. The front piece of the turtle shell is flexible like the original releases, so it will get out of the way and you can move quite a bit forward, and obviously no trouble going outward either. Overall, it works just as good as the original Turtles, which is why this is going to be the turtle body to beat for the near foreseeable future. For some random size comparisons, because again, this stuff I've kind of gone over already in the first review, I've got another Loyal Subjects IDW turtle there, the Mezco. I think that's a 2012 Playmates, and then the other Loyal Subjects animated turtle, which I'm kind of shitting on. But I'm sorry, if you're going to have cartoon-eyed turtles, these are the ones. Simple as that. And equally simply, there's Supreme Knight Batman, just to kind of center it for you. Leo is probably the most average size of the four turtles, so him coming up to Batman's chest feels kind of like my ideal scale for these guys. which is so wonderful to finally have that checked off the list. I finally have turtles that fit my scale. So if we're going to try to distill this steady stream of consciousness thing into some final thoughts, I'm going to tell you the unexpected side effect of these animated turtles for me, which was I have been going through boxes and trying to find anything I've got from the vintage line, which fortunately had a few things here and there, and just I couldn't help but want to put the figures on them and take a look at it. It's got me making some really expensive considerations for future purchases, and as you guys know, I'm not a huge vintage collector, so it's like, shit, this just got expensive. And as I said, this is shaping up to be an expensive summer, so not a great time to be out there looking for pricing on, a mutant module or God forbid, a turtle blimp. But what that kind of means in demonstration, I guess, is that these turtles succeeded in making themselves unique enough from the already 10 out of 10 looking at figure of the year standard turtle collection, because they managed to bring even more nostalgia in to this set. And it wasn't like the originals were hurting for nostalgia. Now, the only drawback I can really say to this set over the original set is that there are fewer accessories. You'll notice I didn't show any cloth goods. They did not come with any of those cloth accessories the original set came with. And it's not a huge deal, but it's a shame in that was a totally easy excuse to include 4 trench coats and hats. They could have done that for the cloth goods accessories for the set, and it would have been awesome. And obviously, I would have shown you pictures of them had they done that. The other little thing as well, is they didn't include like Donatello's wrist gauntlet thing. That did not make an appearance in this set either. Otherwise, all the weapons are here, just in a cleaner paint job, and the same effects pieces also are included. So if you missed the first set and this is as good as it gets for you, you're not missing out on a ton of stuff. But I do feel like the lack of, like I said, the trench coats, that would have been such an easy fix, already having the template for them. That would have been a cool inclusion for these. Outside of that, if you got the first set and you're not real big on the tunes, you're safe. You're not missing anything huge here. But if you're like me and you grew up in the 80s, it's damn hard to turn away from just the undeniable charm of these guys. So if you're interested, oh man, I wish you the best of luck. Do the waitlist thing. Always worth doing the waitlist thing. Keep your eye on these guys, though, because I'm hopeful maybe there'll be another run, or there may be yet another variation, which would get me in for a third set. But don't lose hope, is what I'm saying. Obviously, there was enough positive response on the first set that they are keen on doing more. So, as always, thank you to my friends at Mezco Toys for helping me get some of these guys to look at with you guys. And thank you for coming through to watch the review. I don't know if this was overly informative, but at least you got to see some pictures of the Toon Turtles, and you can help make up your mind on your next major second mortgage purchase. See ya.